Oh, that's new wording from Zoom. I think it used to say recording has started. Now it says recording in progress. My name is Alan, my pronouns are he, him, and tonight I am facilitating, I'm losing track, third of what we hope will now be 7 or 8. Again, I'm losing track. Sessions of the Between. This is Jason Cordova's new PBTA game of Gothic London horror. And we've had a bit so far. And this is organized as part of the Gauntlet RPG community. If you want to know more about that, please check out the first video in any series of mine or search Gauntlet-RPG. We are playing with a set of safety tools, which as a group we've been through now several times, so I won't reiterate them. These are experienced Gauntleteers. They know the way we play as a table culture. And I'm keen to make a start. So I will go first then to Blake. Introduce yourself, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Razor Rose Roberts.
G'day, I'm Blake, he, him. I'm playing Razor Rose Roberts, the American, who has a deep and furry other nature. Generally tries to help out. And so far, it's failed a lot of bloody rolls, but I'm going to try and curb that streak today.
Gosh, you can tell I haven't played for a fortnight. We will discover where we left you shortly. Let me move along to Chambers. So, Leandro, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Chambers, the Factotum.
Yeah, so hello, name's Leandro, use he, him pronouns. I'm playing the aforementioned Chambers, uses she, her pronouns. Being the Factotum means that she's in service of an employer who will meet after this. Also means that she doesn't have a first name, and she tends to have to, carry the weight of her employer around, as we found out last week. It turns out my employer is prone to getting into some scrapes, and I'm here to clean up behind him in more ways than one. Yeah, no matter what my employer is doing.
Yeah, there's an interesting question about whether Dr. Weiss started a fight that you had to kind of help him finish. Talking of the aforementioned Dr. Weiss, David, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Dr. Victor Weiss.
Yeah, hi, my name is David. I use he, him pronouns, and I am playing Dr. Victor Weiss, who also uses he, him pronouns. He is in the Mother playbook. As I said, the Dr. Frankenstein style playbook. Yeah, last time we saw Dr. Weiss, he had. I was going to say, I feel to say that that James has to carry my weight is perhaps unfair. Mostly, she had to carry the weight of the body that I dropped because I liked the look of their torso, which I have since harvested. Yeah, so we saw Victor Weiss investigating the pie shop owned by the Figs. Yeah, there was some violence occasioned entering there. And from that, as well as the body that is being used now as part of Dr. Weiss's ongoing experiments, he also retrieved a corpse that was already on the premises, which he later discovered on autopsy was stuffed with Bibles and rosaries. So that's certainly intriguing him at the moment.
I bet it is. Of course, we still have Mr. Fig locked up at Bethlehem and 3 other members of the Fig family at large in London. So yeah, let me just summarize where we are in terms of the threats that are currently active. There is still the St. James Street ghost. You know how to solve the problem around the St. James Street ghost, but you must at some point encourage it to move on. With the use of mirrors and divorce the spirit from the house that it is haunting, lest it do something nasty again. Fig's pigs, the aforementioned, And our fourth character, who was here for the first couple of sessions, has disappeared into London. Annie Morrish is missing. But we, the players, know that a coven of witches, fortune tellers, wizards has arrived in London, and it doesn't cost a lot of intuition to gather that Annie Morrish is in some way connected to the coven. So those are the three threats we have. So far, the coven is fresh terrain. We've not investigated the coven at all. We've had a go at Fig's Pigs, and we're all set to resolve 18 St James Street. Where we left it last time was, as we say, we have Dr Weiss and Chambers at Hargrave House. But I think I want to start with Razor Rose, because Rose is in a difficult position, having decided to go and look at the Fig's apartment during the day, having been there last night. She clambered up through a back window and enticed a murder of ravens. I think, is it a murder, or is that a murder of crows? Anyway, a large number of ravens that had taken up residence in the flat. She enticed them out with birdseed, and got in and closed the window on them. Unfortunately, that was when Inspector Pettigrew of Scotland Yard arrived downstairs to investigate reports of a nasty smell emanating from the basement, where you lot left at one body and conceivably some parts of another one. So, Razor, there you are. You're in the flat. You hear the door open downstairs. You hear ding, and you see a Bobby and Doctor. As you squint down from the upstairs window, you see a uniformed constable and Inspector Pettigrew entering the premises. Your obvious way out is through the window you used to get in, outside of which a murder of sinister ravens observe you. What do you do?
As much as I'd love to shoot them all and everything, I'm just going to try and sneak away.
Through that window?
Yep.
Okay, so that sounds like the day move to me, because we are in the day. Actually, you know, they are looking very sinister. So this could go a bit worse than the day move, I think, but let's stick with the day move. When you do something...
I've got
Aha.
Ava's awakened soul. All right, I'm going to try and commune with the birds.
Okay.
Work for Suzanne Plachette, so what the hell?
So, we'll give, yes, fair enough. I think birds are animals. We'll give you the benefit. I tend to think this ought to be wolves and hounds, but there you go. So what do we see then? How does this unfold?
I don't know, maybe her hand will sort of reach out towards the window, and she'll just sort of generally look at the birds and let her peripheral vision sort of, as her vision unfocuses, to generally encompass the birds. She's opening her soul to their thoughts and their will, I guess.
So you may ask the keeper, what does this animal want me to do? And
what do the birds want?
I will tell you that they want to eat you.
Ah. Okay. It's normally the other way around. Okay.
They want you to come out and be devoured. They are behaving in a remarkably unnatural way. And as you look, crows are beginning to appear on the roofline of the house across the back lane from Fig's Pigs. While you're thinking about that, let me cut back to Hargrave House. Chambers, I think we decided that you were not desperately keen to return to 18 St James Street as a maid of all works. Do you have any other plans?
Yeah, I think actually we left off. She had just gone to London to meet with her prostitute friend to relieve some stress.
That's quite right.
I think mechanically that was just me trying to hit a Dawn question.
Oh, that's fine.
So I think like I think that's a very professional transaction. I think she's just like done, and I think she is heading back to Hargrave House because she can't really leave her employer in by himself, even though he's having fun downstairs. I don't want to disturb that, but I think that was what most of the Chambers had planned, but she didn't have plans to go back to St. James, at least during the day.
No, fine. Well then, Dr. Weiss, are you content to spend the rest of the day in your laboratory, or do you have an alternative plan for what you will do with the afternoon? And if so, do you intend to wait for Chambers to return or set off on your own?
I think broadly, Dr. Weiss is going to be spending most of the rest of the day just pottering around the lab. Though I think he is going to take a brief moment to kind of when no one's around, to sort of sneak into his secret laboratory again. I think we kind of get a bit of a montage of him doing some various like processes of a dubiously scientific nature on the torso to preserve and prepare it for the next stage in his plans. And I think that after sort of he's finished, washes down his hands quite fastidiously, and then sits down in a little wingback chair in the laboratory, pours himself a sort of nice glass of port, and begins reading from we'll go for Dante's Inferno to the torso. And
I don't think that there's a question. I don't think I'm impinging on either mask here. Stop me if you think I am. But I'm curious whether what impression does the audience get in relation to your relationship with this body, with the child? We saw you professionally cleaning your hands and all very fastidiously cleaning up afterwards. But in terms of the way you are around the torso of the child that you now possess, is that professional, or is there something else going on in that relationship?
Oh yeah, no, this is highly unprofessional. No, I think it's clear that there's a familiarity with the way, once sort of the work has been done, how he is around the body, around the child, and I think after kind of he's read a few pages of the poem, he kind of puts the book down on a little side table, and kind of steps up to the body and puts his hand on the shoulder, and I think he says, "I always said we'd be together again one day. I had hoped it would not come to this, but if I must turn myself into the very devil himself and follow you into hell to drag you back, then I will do it." And with that said, I think he will very kind of carefully and gently kind of cover the body back up with a sheet, and head out of the laboratory.
We're left with a sense of almost reverent love.
Yes,
is what I'm getting from that. Okay. Rose, what are you going to do then?
There's no meat upstairs, is there?
None that you found. No. You want to start having a search, see if you can find anything? Yeah.
Yeah, might as well.
So okay then. So let's see. I'm going to treat this as the information move because you might find something else on the way. Yes. So this sounds like. Are you doing this? Are you trying to be quiet?
No, I mean, they asked me to investigate, so that's what I'm doing here.
Oh, right. So you don't mind if Pettigrew finds you?
Nah, not at this point, because I mean, he's a wanker, but he did ask me to come here, so
yes. He perhaps he didn't expect to find you here with 1.5 bodies in the basement, but we'll come to that shortly. So let's have you roll the investigate move with. If you're not trying to do it quietly, what's your preference? If it's not kind of tiptoeing about with vitality.
I was thinking composure. I'm thinking I'm just being methodical and looking around, thinking if I was sitting here, where would I go?
Okay, roll with composure
then. 10.
10. Would you like to improve that to a 12 plus by putting on a mask?
Nah.
Okay, so on a 10, you get a very straightforward hit, which is you find a clue. Let me think, which clue can I give you that might involve the presence of some meat? I think that yes. Underneath, there's a main bedroom with a double bed, and underneath the bed you find a suitcase. And when you open the suitcase, you find a collection of preserved hands. So you can add the clue, a selection of preserved hands.
Are we talking like 3 or are we talking like 30? How?
No, we're talking about 12, 14 hands. But the clue is a collection of preserved hands.
I think I'll take a couple and just fling them out the window. Try and get some of the birds away, see if that works.
Okay, and then what, you make a dash for it?
Yes.
Okay, well, that sounds to me then like the day move. I'll give you advantage for the effort to distract them, and I think it's vitality because I think it's about getting out of there before they realize you're on the run. So let's try that, shall we?
10.
Oh, there's no stopping Razor Rose today. You do what you intended. Describe what. So what do we see? What do we see?
I think I'll get the suitcase and sort of hold it close to me. I'll get the couple of the hands and I'll flick the window up, chuck them that way, and I'll run at 90 degrees to that. I'll slide down the roof and hit the ground running. I've got a limp, so I guess once I actually hit the ground, I'm not running away as quickly as I'd like, but it's at 90 degrees to where the hands were thrown.
I'd forgotten about that. I could have cancelled out the advantage, but that's my fault, not yours. Do you want to increase that to a 12 plus?
No.
And then I would give you some extra benefit. No? Okay. And head back to Hargrave House. Let us have you then back at Hargrave House, all three of you. Do you want to do anything else for the day, or do you want to move on to dusk? Chambers, what are you thinking?
I might try to trigger the vulnerable move.
Aha.
The only person that I can pick out to do that move
is your employer, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we see? What are you doing?
Yeah, I think
before dinner.
Yeah, I think this is before dinner. I've come over. I probably went to the infirmary. I know he's done with his nonsense downstairs. In the infirmary, and I've also have one of my cheaper brandies with me because I'm expecting this broken knuckle to be taken care of. And I think Dr. Weiss can tell that, like, you know, I've started drinking for what's to come in the night, I guess.
So, Dr. Weiss, your remind me what your infirmary is able to do for Chambers's broken knuckle.
So it's I believe it's that I can remove an additional physical condition. So I think it's in this instance, I don't think it's necessary because I think we've both only got the one condition. But yeah, I think as Chambers comes in, Dr. Weiss is, I think, has just been kind of cataloging the Bibles, in some order on one of the shelves at the side of the infirmary for later consultation. And he turns around and says, Chambers, good to see you. Do you wish me to take a look at your hand? You rather bruised it. That was very thorough work on that gentleman in the alleyway. The way you must be commended for that.
That was more thorough. I would have come away with less than a broken knuckle, but if you were a doctor.
Of course, and excellent. You've bought some brandy that will certainly help with the proceedings. And I think he fetches a couple of glasses from one of the cabinets in the room, and pours two very generous measures of it. Takes one himself and starts sipping it. So let's see. He'll take sort of a hand in his once he's put the glass down again. Yes, it's possibly broken, but certainly dislocated. I'll just try and pop it back in again. This will hurt briefly, but I'm sure you've had worse in your time.
I think in response, Chambers takes a swig of brandy.
I imagine that the glass you've retrieved is probably a piece of laboratory ware with a graduation on the side.
Yeah.
So Chambers takes a swig, and how do we know that Chambers is tough as nails?
There's no flinching when the bone is kind of set. I think maybe like a tiny curl at the corner of her mouth, but it's kind of clear that this is not the first time our hand's been broken. Maybe not even the first time in this fashion.
No, I'm certain it isn't. Yeah. And I think what this means is, because it's your vice you're sharing, Chambers, you can stumble on a clue. Tell the keeper what it is. It cannot conclusively answer a question, or you can invite the other hunter to ask you about their past.
Let me see. How are we doing for clues? I think we don't need any more of the ghost stuff.
No, the ghost is done. Yeah,
we just gotta deal with it. I guess for pigs, we find another thing from that body that's already stuffed with Bibles.
Yeah, so it could relate to the body itself. It could, or something that it was stuffed with.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious because there's also the other thing, which is invited to ask about your past. I guess actually I did look at my masks. I was like, what's the relationship like between the doctor but that's what the other masks in my Mask of the Past is for. So I'll have to refrain from them. I think I'll stumble on the clue. I'll see the other corpse that we found, and we'll kind of just quip that. I hope your project looks a tad cleaner and better than that.
the preservation method for this was somewhat crude, more in the manner of what one would do to a favored pet, I suppose. And he'll start bandaging your hand.
Yeah. Can I say, amidst just to try to hit my Dawn question, while you're bandaging it, I think like Chambers' like fingers lightly brush against your wrist. It's like small but it's clear. What she did.
Yeah, and I think as she does that, I think as you know, is doing the bandages, he will will sort of hold her hand sort of more gently than he has been in his sort of in his sort of professional fashion, and say, "You truly do have such fantastic hands, Chambers. It's a shame to see them hurt, but a joy to see what you can accomplish with them."
She just kind of gives you a look because like, she's seen you size up other body parts before. It's like, well,
Clearly a moment of sexual tension, or employer-employee power exchange. I'm not certain. And what's your clue?
I don't have to look at the list, right? I can just
No, you can come up with something as long as it doesn't say I can find overt fig at or whatever.
Okay. I think I looked at the corpse and I think like there's like a moment where like everything's kind of like done, and instead of like leaving Chambers, kind of like moves closer to the corpse, and I think she sees like the eyes are fake. They're like glass eyes of beautiful quality, like expensive, not cheap.
So if I make the clue expensive glass eyes, okay. I'm curious, Doctor, do you want to reflect the vulnerable move back by offering her a cigarette?
No, I think I'm good with that. I think I'm good there. I think that takes care of both of our conditions, and yeah, I think we can leave that for later.
Okay, and that will see the limping Rose with still some hands return to Hargrave House. And I'm inclined to put you all in one of the rooms. Am I ready to go to dusk, or do you want to do anything with day when you get back to Hargrave House?
Yeah, as we're sort of discussing what we're going to do for the evening, whatever, I'll say, look what I found, suitcase full of hands.
Well, now I don't quite know how that applies to the child. You need some hands, don't you, Dr. Weiss?
Yeah, I could certainly I could certainly take a look through these and see if anything fits the bill.
Well, I'm very happy for you to mark hands on the child, because I said there were 12 or 14. I think Rose only threw a couple to distract the birds.
I'm going to sniff them to see how fresh they are.
Oh, they're preserved.
Okay.
More crudely preserved than the technique you would use, Dr. Weiss, but they are hands. They aren't paired, though, just so you know. I guess if you came across some better hands, you could perhaps resort to them. I don't know. And let's move to dusk then. So here we go. So I don't have any moves that need to be resolved. Hargrave House, we're back to painting the scene.
I do. I have a big move that needs to be resolved every dusk.
That's true. Do you want to do that first?
Yeah, bring it on. What could go wrong?
I tell you what, can I do this? Can I do this in the order? Because that ought to be the climactic bit of dusk, I think, before you disappear.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And you'll have some idea what you're planning to do, which might inform the outcome you want from that move. So let's paint the scene for the map room. The room is littered with maps of the city, of England, of the world, and some of them are highly unusual. Name one and describe why it's so strange, Dr. Weiss.
Yeah, I think that there is a map of London, and it's still like recognizably London. I think a lot of the topographical details and buildings and such like are still on there, rivers, but it does include rivers that aren't part of the modern London, the ones that have been kind of culverted as part of the efforts of blanking on his name.
Oh yeah, the
Basil
manager-
Gett.
yeah.
But on top of that, rather than mapping the roads of London, it maps out the ley lines and the flows of mystic energy that make up the city.
I like that. Rose, what map does your eye catch, or do you draw our audience's attention to?
I suppose it's sort of like police barracks, because this is pre-1890, so Scotland Yard hadn't moved yet. So it's like where all the old police barracks were, and it's obvious some of them were put almost like a shield between the rich areas and the riffraff sort of thing. And yeah, you can sort of see there's different concentrations in different parts of London.
I like that. A barrier between the classes, a shield of protection. And finally, Chambers, which map do you draw our attention to, and what is it? Why is it so strange?
I think let's see, literal maps and some highly unusual. I think there's like this very beautiful, like very detailed, like as if it is like geographically sourced map of prehistoric England, as in land bridges still there, England. But it looks like it's like what a map would look like then, like, you know, with the latitude and longitude and places marked. But it's like you know, pre-England England, like
But it's in the style of a modern map.
Yes, yeah.
So it's a modern map of a time long gone.
Mhm.
Now, of the three of those, I think the one that bears the closest relationship to London as it currently is probably Rose's description of the police map. And so, Rose, as you kind of are looking at this, perhaps on the wall where it's displayed, we will zoom into that map to show St. Paul's, and then we'll zoom out to find we are now looking at a different map of London. I think that what we will find is a hand, a black woman's hand, and she has 3 gorgeous sapphire rings on the hand we see, and she is just putting a mark on the map. We've come back a little way, so we can't be entirely certain where she's putting a map on the a mark on the map, but she's marking this map of London. And there's a voice behind her who says, "Mom, is there anything I need to do in preparation for Miss Tatty's extravaganza?" And a cultured voice says, "No, Elmore, I think the usual will suffice." And then she goes back and she puts a circle around Hargrave House on the map. Dusk. Let's continue with dusk. Each player says the way that their hunter is going to spend the upcoming night phase. Let's start with Dr. Weiss. What's your plan for tonight?
I'm conflicted. I think Dr. Weiss is mostly taken by the idea of dealing with the figs, but I think that in the absence of Annie Morrish, he is going to try this supposed ritual to get rid of the ghost at St. James Street.
And what about Chambers? Will you accompany your master, or do you have other thoughts, Chambers?
Oh, she absolutely planned to like do the ritual, whether Dr. Weiss was going to be there or not.
No, that's fine.
Woman of her own agenda, apparently.
And what about Rose?
Yeah, she was seeking that because I ain't afraid no ghost.
Yeah, because you were the person who actually discovered what was going on there, I think, last night, weren't you? Or yesterday. And let me then, I will introduce the unseen before we do anything else. And I think that this is going to be the night shift at St. Thomas's. And I think that I have started with Chambers once. And with Rose once. So I'm sorry to say, Dr. Weiss, it comes back to you. I will be starting with you. Sitting across the Thames from the Palace of Westminster, St. Thomas's Hospital is London's newest, purpose-built to the most modern of standards. It consists of sprawling wings joined by covered walkways, allowing convalescent patients to take the air during the day. But at night, a skeleton crew struggle to save their charges from the illness, accidents, and violence that stalk the gloom. Let's go to Razor Rose's quickening.
Okay. I think it's composure or sensitivity.
Yeah, take your pick.
Doesn't matter, it's the same number. Okay. Let me screw this up. 7.
So again, I will ask you, do you want to don a mask to improve that to a 10?
No.
Or are you content to put up with the condition drained?
Okay. Yeah, I'll get the condition drained.
Okay, put that
Maybe
back
I'm
in.
keen to go, and then I'm like, actually, I think I'm going to lie down. I'm not feeling good.
We've seen that before. I want to ask you to describe it again. That effort to restrain the beast, lest it take control. And therefore, let us cut to 18 St. James Street. And as I say, I'm starting with Dr. Weiss. Let's do that unseen. A destitute woman. Oh, let me just make a note that I'm starting with Dr. Weiss. A destitute woman is in the throes of a complicated birth. A porter holding her down while a surgeon prepares to operate. How do we know that the child will never meet their birth mother?
Yeah, so I think the woman is letting out kind of a loud howls, not sort of almost of like not just of pain, but also of kind of desperation, as the surgeon kind of goes to work, and sometime later, a bloodied child is produced and passed to a nurse who wraps it in cloth and hurries from the room with it. Up until this point, an unseen figure steps forward from the shadows and hands the surgeon a pouch of cash, which he slips into his coat. And he turns to the porter and says, have her taken to the ward. She's unlikely to live till morning, but what can we do? And turns and walks away.
If you can put a couple of words as an aid memoir for that into the unseen, I'd be grateful. And then I think we'll have, you're all going to be outside St. James Street. And I'm curious, I'm going to make you the focus of this, Dr. Weiss, because you've suggested you want to undertake the ritual that Razor Rose has described to you. So how are you going to do this, Doctor?
Yeah, so I think we see the doctor is stood outside the house, and I think he's kind of taking what's the word I'm looking for? He's not got not an astrolabe, but like the surveyor's tool, the sort
Theodolite?
Theodolite, I think that's the one, yeah. Is kind of obviously like taking measurements of the house, jotting down notes in a little notebook, whilst also referring to kind of obviously whatever they information they already have on this supposed ritual that's to be done, and is clearly trying to work out kind of the most effective way of doing this if they are to do it, where they need to kind of how best to like center the hall and the ritual.
I'm wondering if we don't actually need to be in the house, but maybe we could just be like in an alley or something nearby, but we just like look at that window, the window that had a different view of a different era sort of thing.
Well, if you remember, what we decided last time was that it ritual to divorce the spirit from the house using a cracked mirror or shards or shard. And I'm just trying to think, Chambers, didn't you retrieve a shard?
Oh yeah, it's in my, it's part of my personal quarter, so I have it with me.
So you have a shard. How are you going to use it? Because Razor Rose has determined by communing with the house that you have to use this shard to somehow divorce the spirit from it.
Okay, I think I'm trying to think. There's like a lot of mirrors in my head for some reason. I think this is a case of like trying to get an angle on the window to like see the ghost using the shard. And I think this is a case of like getting to that window and seeing the ghost and drawing it out of the house and perhaps into the shard.
Right. So I'm imagining you at the back lane of the house, and Dr. Weiss has kind of scoped the building, and then you've got this shard that you're holding. You see the window in the reflection. You see a figure in the reflection that isn't there in reality, but it is in the mirror's reflection. Razor Rose, what's your contribution to this ritual?
I'll sort of before the Factotum does that bit, I'll maybe like take the shard, prick my hand, and I'll just sort of drip a bit of blood in like 4 corners around the house. and then give the shard to the factotum.
And so we see this ghost. We can't see it in the mirror, but as the blood runs down the shard of glass, there is the ghost. And the ghost is getting larger. Dr. Weiss, this was your idea to do this from outside by surveying the building. I think it's for you to undertake a night move to see how well this goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
This sounds absolutely your reason at work.
Yeah, I think that this is more. I think it's he's trying to do this as scientifically as possible. So yeah, that sounds fair.
This is scientific magic at work. What are you afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that yeah, well, in some ways, what Dr. Weiss fears here is that it will actually work, but that's not really the appropriate.
Not in the spirit of the game.
Exactly, but yeah, I think I think that what's the concern here is that this will free the ghost, but in the sense of letting it loose on London rather than in terms of sending it onto a new place.
Yes, and it will be worse than simply roaming London. It will begin to murder people at large. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's have you roll the dice then, with reason.
Sure thing. Oh, I'll ask Chambers. Are you going to tick off the glass shard or the mirror shard for advantage, or should I just use it for as base?
I guess here's a question: can someone else tick off?
I don't think so. Because we've made Dr. Weiss the focus of this framing. I think it's all down to you, Dr. Weiss. The shard is a happy kind of component.
That's cool. And that is an 8.
So on a 7 to 9, you do it or hold steady, but there's a complication or cost. This figure that we saw in the mirror, we suddenly see them up close in the shard. But they don't, they're hanging on to the edge of the shard as it's being sucked inside. And then one hand comes out and grasps you around the throat, Dr. Weiss. Do you do anything, Chambers?
Dr. Weiss is at the front, right?
No, I think you're all around the back lane. So you're all together as this ritual takes off. But I will come to you first, Chambers, because you are the factotum.
Yeah. Do you want me to describe a thing from the unseen first, or?
Well, no, I'm going to give each of you a scene. It seems to me that it's logical to give you a chance to intervene here, to save Dr. Weiss from any discomfort.
Where's the hand coming from?
Out of the mirror. It is the hand of the murdering ghost.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna grab the mirror and move away from the doctor holding it.
Okay, so just try to drag it away.
Yeah, actually, while I'm doing that, I am gonna mark. Actually, no, I'm not gonna do it because it's in protection. This is in protection of my employer. That always gives me an
It
advantage.
is. You always
So
have advantage for
I don't need
that.
to. I shouldn't mark anything. That'd be a waste. So yes, I am gonna like
Dragging it away.
yes.
And there's a kind of scientifically detached thought in Dr. Weiss's mind is, gosh, yes, that hand is the hand that left those marks on Rose's throat. So Chambers, I think that's physicality. I think that's vitality. Roll with advantage with vitality, please.
Okay. This. That's a 6.
Oh my goodness me.
Probably should have. I should have mentioned what I was afraid would happen.
Yes, you should have. What were you afraid would happen? That presumably you wouldn't protect your master, but
yeah, the childish thing in my mind is like that I'm treating this hand as if it's a corporeal phenomenon, and that like if I just move it enough, it'll have to break away. But obviously, the hand is holding through. I think my fears are like if that grip's strong enough, it'll actually tear out Dr. Weiss's throat.
Oh my goodness me. Yes, so he could we're back to bleed out in a back alley, Dr. Weiss. I think that is, I can't do better than that. That this clawed, bony, ghostly hand has got such a grip on the throat of the doctor. As you pull it away, you can see Razor Rose. You can see that this is beginning to tear at the doctor's throat. Chambers has done all she can. What are you going to do, Rose?
I've got this double-ended iron and silver dagger. I'm going to try and stab it with each end of that, see if either affects it.
I can just slice through it. Yeah, that sounds like vitality as well. What are you afraid could go wrong, Rose?
I'm afraid that it's because I've cut myself. It's going to go into me, and then I'm going to attack the doctor.
Oh yes, and why that could be worse is that in that moment of uncontrol, you will become the 10+ beast that rolls with advantage to harm the doctor. So let's have you roll with vitality then. Yeah. You can mark that off and roll with advantage to slice through this hand and have the remains of it sucked back into the shard for good.
13.
Oh, well, will you look at that? On a 12+, you do as you intended, or you holster, and the keeper will tell you some extra benefit or advantage you receive. I will give you an extra benefit for resolving this. Each of you will shortly get a reward for resolving this. I'll give you 2 bites of that cherry. But yeah, so this ghostly hand, what does this look like as Chambers is dragging it away?
I think she'll grab it with one hand and just sort of cut it and then twirl it around and cut it back the other way just to make sure.
Okay, and the pressure comes off the doctor's neck. That clearly you've been grabbed, Doctor, but there's no permanent harm, no condition. Everyone managed to rally round, and it disappears into the mirror. The shard is still unused, Chambers, in terms of what you want. What I can't remember is if I put at the bottom of here the potential, the outcomes you could get. Oh yes, if you go down to F79, you will see that there are some rewards you could gain from this. I'm going to go to Rose first because I'll be coming round to Rose twice on this list. Rose, which of those do you get the benefit of in future? Which of those do you add to your personal quarters?
I don't know, maybe a memento, I think.
Okay, well, if you want to come up with a memento, pardon me, there are multiple mementos. So Chambers, what about you?
I'm taking the the mirror. I think I think I'm upgrading this shard into just a mirror.
Let's be clear, it's not just upgrading it. There are 2 now uses for this mirror. Yeah, so this is a separate use of the same piece of kit.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and Dr. Weiss, what about you?
David.
You all right, David?
Yeah, sorry. Whereabouts is the?
Oh, sorry. So
sorry,
if you go down to F7879, you'll find the rewards for St. James Street Ghost. Razor Rose has chosen a memento that she's going to tell us about in a minute. The mirror that always shows a reflection of St. James's Street Ghost. Chambers has decided that that's what the shard now shows. What do you want?
I technically could take the unmarked the cosmic passage one, but this feels more like something that's increasing my belief in the supernatural, to be honest. So I think, I think I've got to have a jar of ectoplasm. That definitely seems like something that.
I just love the idea that, next time we go to the infirmary, there'll be jars of organs and blood supplies, and then some glowing ectoplasm. So what was that memento, Rose? What do you want to have?
It's a topaz necklace from the Beale residence. When I was looking around,
a topaz necklace, and I said I'd come back to you for a second one because you did so well on that saving. What else do you want? You could have a second memento, or you could have unmarked cosmic passage if you want to.
No, we're getting deeper into supernatural, not less. So, no.
Well, I tell you what, it is time for a break. So let's say, shall we be back in our seats at 10 past the hour? And when we come back, Rose, you can tell us what you chose, and we'll move to the next unseen and see what else the night holds for our intrepid hunters. See you in a bit. Okay, we're back from our break, and just to clarify, because we had a number of cascading moves at the end of there. Dr. Weiss, the fact that there was a complication, the complication was that it is free in London, but it's no longer attached to the house. It isn't murdering people, because that would have been the worst possible outcome. But Chambers, the shard, always continues to show it, and with a bit of investigation where it is. Yeah, so it's not locked in the shard, it's loose in London, but the shard shows it. Is that okay? I've put a note at the bottom of the threat just to try and hold that. So, as so much has happened and it's early in the night, let's go to the next unseen.
I was just thinking it would be funny if Chambers put it in the room with the body. So it would just move stuff around that body room just to mess with her employer.
Endlessly shuffling Dr. Weiss's possessions. So let me think. I started with Weiss, therefore let's go round to let's go around to Rose. Rose, the next unseen. In the casualty waiting room, the experienced ward sister Mary O'Brien triages the sick and wounded. Who does she see, and will they live or die?
She sees, is it Pettigrew, that inspector?
Oh,
he hurt his arm at Fig's Pigs, I think, and they give him preference. They put him, they bump him up the queue and preference him over the riffraff and that.
and will he live or die?
Unfortunately, he'll live.
Okay, a chance to have moved Dr. Inspector Pettigrew off the board, but if you could
But
put
it's
something in there.
it's obvious there's a bias there.
Okay, well, I'll put something in there while I ask you, Rose, to frame the next scene, because you got as far as we'll go and deal with the ghost, but we've got plenty of the night left. We're at the mercy of the unseen sequence. So, Rose, where do you want to go now?
I feel awful. I just want to go home and rest, but I could be persuaded to go to a pub if people feel like a drink. What do people feel like?
Well, I mean, are you framing a vulnerable move around that?
No, I was just being sociable.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get some meat on the way home.
From your dubious butcher. You're not inclined to go and search out Fig's Pigs and see what they might have? Just curious.
No, I'll go and get my butcher.
No one's inclined to try to find Annie Morrish. I'm just curious. So okay, so let's take you to your butcher. What do you want me to complicate this, or have you got something in mind?
No, you can complicate it. Go for it.
You're followed by a shadowy figure.
Now, are the others coming with me, sort of shopping on the way home, or are they off doing something else? Or?
Well, Dr. Weiss has had their go, so you didn't invite him in. So it's up to Chambers whether Chambers wants to go along, or whether Chambers will then get to phrase a scene of her own.
Not sure, because Chambers knows what's gonna make Chambers a scene. Like, okay, Rose is like doing grand, and as far as she knows, she doesn't know anything about the coven threat.
No,
no, and
but she knows Annie is missing.
Yes. But if she's gonna go look for Annie, it wouldn't be while shopping with Rose. She'd go off on her own.
Sorry, just to clarify, I know you said that the ghost was loose, but has that threat been resolved?
Oh, sorry,
or are
yes.
we still
No,
okay?
it's resolved.
Right,
it's resolved.
Yeah, okay, cool. Sorry, I wasn't sure if we were
No, you're sorted.
Yeah, cool,
you succeeded in resolving the threat, but it didn't go quite according to plan, despite everyone's efforts. So, Rose, a shadowy figure.
Yeah, I'll duck down an alley and try and see who it is.
Well, that sounds like the night move, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What are you afraid could go wrong here, Rose?
Well, I feel like crap, so I feel like I'm going to actually try and avoid a fight, and I'm afraid they're going to be really good or really tough, or both, and kick the shit out of me, basically.
Oh, so right. So you're not looking to jump them. You just want to see.
No, I'm just curious who's following me, but I'm aware that I'm not feeling great. So.
Okay. I mean, that sounds like reason to me.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
sweet.
So let's have you roll plus reason.
You mean
sorry.
reason?
This could go worse by the fact that you could end up being jumped.
6.
Oh, you are about to be jumped from behind, Rose, by somebody else. And they've got the jump on you. This could be a knife in the ribs. This could be kidneys all over the floor, guts spilling onto the cobblestones. Do you want to improve this outcome?
I guess I should.
So which mask do you want to don?
The narrator flashback of a time when you went west and you were happy and free.
Okay, go ahead.
I think she's in what do you call it, Appalachian Mountains and the Ozarks and stuff, and she's sort of running in the wooded hills. She's rather furry and clawed, and sort of half the time she's running on all fours and just loving, big smile on her face and enjoying running through the woods. Sun is shining.
Is this the first time we get a sense of what the animal is?
Yes, that's very cougar-like.
Okay. I like that. So that will improve it from 7 to 9, from 6 to 7 to 9. And someone does push past you in this alleyway, and there are bowels on the cobbles, but it is the bowels of the person following you. You were merely an incidental in this. They weren't following you. They were being followed by someone who has just disemboweled them. Chambers. Let's go to the next unseen. The young nurse Agnes Pell walks the TB ward silent but for the labored breathing and hacking coughs of her charges. Who do we see among the gaunt, pale patients that shows death respects neither age nor rank?
I think it is going to be a man who has clearly dressed himself in the idea of a working class stiff, but clearly is like but it's like almost like a costume to him. He's clearly, it's like a disguise, like he's put on new to like have a skin of anonymity, but like as soon as like any doctor comes to him, he tries to like profess who he really is, which is like someone of money. Let's give him a name. Sorry, my mind is blanking. Yeah, probably like maybe nobility. Yeah, let's make him a duke. Like he just got he's there's a mystery as to why he's here.
Well, presumably he's got TB, but why they've put him on a public ward is the interesting question.
Yeah, he's claiming he is the Duke of, I don't know, not Salisbury. That would be ridiculous. He's claiming to be Duke of Salisbury, but as far as anyone's concerned, like even though he does look well-to-do, he's the only identification on him is like he's a Mr. Walsh, but he's like I think there's like a mystery to him. Like he clearly there's stuff going on there. He speaks eloquently, and his attire is like doesn't seem authentic, but he's here with TB dying in this random ward at St. Thomas's.
Okay, now if you can summarize that in a sentence, just to give us an aid memo of what we're dealing with. And then we'll ask Chambers how it is that she is whether she's going to investigate anything to do with Annie Morrish, I think, or the Coven, maybe.
Yeah, she might. I think she might answer a question of Figs Pigs. Like Annie Morrish Sister Morrish is a weirdo with ideas. If she doesn't turn up the next day, something's happening. Last Chambers heard she was biting into a rat and then running off from a hospital. Clearly, she must be doing something. So I think instead, Chambers is going to try to answer a question.
So where do we see you trying to answer a question around Figs Pigs? And are you doing this alone, or are you going to summon up one of the informals to who might have something to tell you?
With these Figs Pigs questions, you can answer them at any order, right?
You can.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I am summoning an informal. I think I am gonna be asking. Let me look at these. What clues do we have? A lot of stuff. I am gonna ask my pickpocket friend, Pig's Ear,
Of course.
of course, because I assume he knows a bit of the black market and whatnot, or what's been happening. Like the question I'm kind of interested in trying to answer is what type of victim does Obert Fig prefer? So I think like I'm gonna ask Pig's Ear about this might be about.
I
I guess I should find.
Before you, I just want to check the answer to question move.
Mm,
And
yes.
the advantage of Pig's Ear would give you advantage on a move.
Mhm.
That doesn't apply to the answer question. The only thing that can happen is the mask. So I'm tempting you to use an informal when there's no point. That doesn't mean you can't do it, but you won't get any mechanical benefit.
Okay. Yeah. I think we can just answer the question by looking at these.
Okay.
Maybe just like Chambers herself is just like after we've dealt with the ghost, it's just okay. I'm looking through. I'm looking around the general neighborhood. Yeah, I'm picking. I think what kind of victim does Obert Fig prefer?
Okay.
And I'm gonna explain some of the clues by. I think what we see Chambers doing is she's in the neighborhood of Fig's Pigs.
Yeah.
Kind of seeing what kind of like shops are there, what's kind of like being sold, and I think she'll see like a bunch of clothing stores. So the piles of velvet cushions caked in blood are sold like locally, or like they're the kind of like I think those velvet cushions actually I think they're all from each a different store, like they're all like from a different like tailor or seamstress.
Okay.
And the expensive glass eyes, I think they're kind of paired with the velvet cushions, and that those cushions weren't cheap, even though they're caked in blood. So I think like the glass eyes are bespoke. So like they wouldn't have come from anywhere. Like high quality goods as well. Sorry, I'm just kind of like taking over and answering a bunch of these.
You've now, I think you are at, I'm just trying to see, are you D6 plus 2?
Mhm.
That can't be, is that
Wait,
right?
Wait, no, yeah, that's not right. Hold on.
Is that formula not behaving itself? Because I think you're on D6 plus 0 at the minute. I was about to go to Dr. Weiss and then Rose to see if they wanted to
it should be.
Yeah, that it looks like it's not quite.
That formula's not quite doing the job, is it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to try and hack that on the go, I think. So let's go to Dr. Weiss. You're rolling flat at the moment for what type of victim does Obert Fig prefer? Do you want to bind another one in to get you to +1?
Yeah, so I think that the fact that the hands were mentioned that none of the hands matched. They were all one hand from one person. So I'm wondering also if they have an interest in perhaps people who are already missing limbs or hands or other parts of their body, possibly also explaining the glass eyes.
Oh, I see. Right. Was that where you were going, Chambers? I got the feeling you were going to well-off people, but could this be well-off people who are missing some part of their body?
It was either that or I was going for like people who make beautiful things, like tailors or seamstresses. They could also either have lost hands, or these hands were like, to tie back to what Dr. Weiss was saying about, oh, these hands are like, well practiced. They're very, they've been through stuff,
Okay.
If that's okay, David.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Rose, do you want to tip one? Currently, we're at 2d6 plus 1. Do you want to try and get us to 2d6 plus 2, or do you want to sit on the clues for next time?
I think Blake is away from the keyboard at the moment.
Oh, he is. I'm going to suggest that we go with 2d6 plus 1, just to keep us moving. Yeah. So
yeah, that seems fair.
Roll 2d6 plus 1. Let's see how this goes.
Ooh, that's a 7.
Close run thing. You could all put on a mask. Rose, sorry, we pushed on with answering a question because I hadn't realized that you weren't there for a moment. 7 to 9, it wouldn't have made any difference to get another one. So the keeper will add an unwelcome complication to the answer, and or pursuing it would be more dangerous. I think that you may be able, if you could now stage some kind of tempting victim for Obert Fig, you will get him, but it's not going to be easy. There is going to be danger. Yeah, whenever you try to do it, the night move will be at play. Does that seem fair?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna mark that as I'm gonna add to that skilled people missing some limb or missing some part of the body. Yeah. Does that cover the options?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you can find someone, you could lure him out.
It does say in my inform was I could write my own.
Well. Could it be that you know a one-handed, one-legged seamstress?
Chambers knows all sorts.
She certainly does. We'll finish off with me painting the scene, I think, because there's an option to do it 4. As dawn begins to break, how do we see the staff dealing with the stress of the night before, knowing they will be back again tomorrow? I think that we will see Agnes Pell and Mary O'Brien sharing a bottle of gin and stumbling home at dawn. But I think I would like to add to that the fact that they are followed by Annie Morrish, just to keep Annie in our mind's eye. So that concludes our night phase. So let us move to dawn. Collect rewards if a threat was resolved. I think it's much easier to do it at the point you resolve it, to be honest. So that's done. Answer the dawn questions. So, did you answer a question? Yes, you did. Did you resolve a threat? Yes, you did. Rose, so everybody's got 2. Rose, did you experience an echo in the night? And if so, what was it?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay. What about you, Chambers? Did you experience an echo in the night?
No, I don't think so. I remember the idea I initially had, but it's gone. I'll save it for another day.
Can I just suggest that maybe I think all 3 of you did, because we had that bloody birth, the child emerging with a skein of blood, and then we had blood dripping from the wounds on Dr. Weiss's neck.
I mean, I'll take it if you're.
Or I'd even go as far as a baby emerging from the womb and a ghost emerging from the house. You were all there.
My initial deal was like if the ghost complication would have kept going, I would describe it as howling. But I'll take that.
So I think that's 3. Let me go back round then to Rose. Did you encourage a fellow hunter to let loose for a change?
No, not on that day.
Chambers, did you have a scene showing your secret private life in London? Yes, you did. We met Elsie, isn't it?
Yes.
Your professional companion. Dr. Weiss, did you put your hands in a pile of guts and love every moment of it?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Over and over again. On one occasion, it was a pile of rosaries and Bibles, but it's a thought that counts. And I go back the other way. Did you have a conversation with the child while no one was looking? Yes, you did. Did you teach the child a lesson about what it means to be human? I don't think we're at that point yet, are we? No.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so you can mark 5.
Hang on. He was reading out Dante's Inferno. Wouldn't there have been like a lesson about humanity and the journey of life and stuff in there?
I think
that is specifically for once the child has been brought back to life. That final one.
Yeah.
I believe so anyway.
It makes sense that way to me. And I don't know. I'll have a read of the rules, see if it's a bit more specific. Chambers, did you subtly express sexual desire for your employer? Yes. The fact that you returned clearly unsated from your meeting with Elsie tells us something about Chambers' level of desire. So yeah, that's 5 for you. And
I hadn't even thought of that.
Did you use violence to solve a problem, Rose? Yeah.
Against the ghost with the knife. So.
Exactly. So that's 4 for you. So where are we in terms of the XP tracks then?
Yeah, I get another thing.
Okay. And any overflows?
Yeah, just me. So,
What about Chambers? Are you?
Yeah, I get an advance and I overflow by 1 XP. So I'm going to leave it exactly as it is right now.
And ditto Dr. Weiss.
Yeah, indeed.
Rose, what's your thinking on a new move?
Just looking at his crawlers, a harlot's curse. In order to deaden your senses, why would you want to deaden your senses?
Well, I suppose it's to curb your urge for raw meat.
But you've got to indulge in raw meat to do it. So
indulge your vice alone in the dark zero.
Oh, maybe when you're in incredible pain from like an injury or something, or if like a condition is like distracting you, like in deadening.
Okay, well that fits in because I was going to get some meat on the way home. So yeah.
Okay, take that one. Fine. What about you, Chambers? What are you thinking?
I might just put a pause on a modifier or. I don't know. These other moves are also really good. Stuff as much. Actually, I might pick day work.
Okay.
Just properly solidify that.
And finally, Dr. Weiss, what are you thinking?
Well, that kind of made up my mind for me. I was torn between night work and field medicine as a new ability, but as James is going for day work, I'll go for night work.
Which is a bunch of grave robbers, isn't it?
No, it's the one where essentially I sit out a night phase.
Oh.
But take on responsibility for narrating all of the unseen.
Fine. Yeah, fine. Okay, so that's all good. Do you shuffle any of those dawn question choices. Find something that you think you can play towards. We got in Janus Mask prompts. The American we dealt with, Mother Night Work, that will come down next time. So I think that's dawn done. Yeah. And we get today. The Keeper presents a new threat if there are less than 3 active threats. There are less than 3 active threats. I will present the Daily Telegraph. I sense that probably it is Chambers who is reading the Daily Telegraph. Has a story about a washerwoman named Clara Yarborough, who was found dead in a hallway of her tenement house in Whitechapel. Her face had been carefully removed. I wonder who we know with the skills to do that. This is the 3rd such crime this month. The other 2 victims, Edward Clive and Dolly Merriweather, also lived in Whitechapel. People are already saying it's old Sally No Face who's doing it. But Sally No Face is just a legend. Children have been singing her song in the streets for as long as anyone can remember. You were brought up singing this song. Poor old Sally, trapped in a fire, her looks burned up without a trace. If you're lovely with fate, most are, she'll come and take your lovely face. You have a history with Clara Yarborough. Chambers, what is it?
Well, my default relationship with NPCs is being having them as an ex.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. I think I might just lean into that. I think Clara Yarborough is someone I had made a promise to in the past that we'd get out of our humdrum lives together, and I did, and she didn't, and she held that against me ever since.
And that's why she was still a washerwoman there in Whitechapel. Okay, let me just paste that across. The summary is too big. There we go. Okay, I'll tidy that up between, but the summary is now across there, and the threat is Sally No Face. And we'll add something about your relationship to Clara when we have a moment. And the questions for Sally No Face are, hang on, there she is. Where is the killer hiding? Complexity is 4. Resolve the threat by infiltrating the killer's, oops daisy. You'd think cut and paste would be such an easy thing to do, wouldn't you? Resolve the threat by infiltrating the killer's lair, then capturing or destroying them. How is the killer choosing their victims? Complexity is 6. That seems a bit odd. That seems to be the same resolution. Violent to you, then capturing or destroying them. Okay. What is the true identity of the killer? Oh, this is Jack the Ripper. And it is a member of the royal family. Resolve the threat by empathizing with the killer, then bringing so luring. Oh, I see. So there are right. I see. There appear to be different ways to resolve each question: infiltrating, luring, or empathizing with. There is also a mask for this one.
So basically, we got a choice if we want to do it the easy way or the hard way.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah.
Depending on the complexity, because the easiest way is just 4.
Yeah. That seems a bit odd. But maybe I'm just not getting it.
I guess it's just like whatever you're interested in.
Yeah.
pursuing.
So the mask of beauty. Each hunter narrates a flashback to a time when they felt truly beautiful. So there we have the outline of Sally No Face. That's a new threat added. I am marking down, by the way, something which you will become clear before the end of today, and that is to do with the mastermind. Okay. So let me start with Rose. Rose, which threat are you interested in? And what do we see you doing?
So is this day phase or?
Yeah.
Because I've got a couple of conditions. I'm just wondering how I can get rid of them before I get back at it, sort of thing.
Okay.
Can I just rest, or that doesn't do anything, or?
No, there is the vulnerable move. When you have an intimate moment with another hunter while one of you is engaged in your vice. So do you want to, find Chambers having a snifter from her brandy flask as she clears breakfast, or the world is your oyster? Or do you seek out the doctor?
Yeah, I might seek out the doctor for once. I've got like a plate of raw meat, and I'm just kind of nibbling on it. And I'm like, have you heard much from Annie? What's going on? Nom nom nom.
No, last time I saw her, she was fleeing from Bedlam before the Porters decided to make her a permanent resident. I assumed that she would be returning here, but it appears that is not the case.
So no one's had any messages or nothing? When was that? Was that like a day ago, or?
Yes, yesterday, I believe.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think. I think
before.
that's the night. Yeah, I think it's the day before yesterday. Yeah,
And
this would be the
I'll
third
sort of
day.
gesture towards the food. You want some? This is just raw cut up meat.
Well, I have already had breakfast, and I think you will reach over and take the fork and spear a piece of meat and take a piece and put it back.
You have shared your vice. You may clear an appropriate condition, each of you. If it's your vice, Rose, stumble on a clue or invite the other hunter to ask you about your past.
I don't know, maybe stumble on the clue. Like maybe while we're looking at this meat and having a chat, something occurs to us.
So the way this works, Rose, is that you get to tell me a clue about a threat of your choice.
I'm thinking it fits in with fixed pigs. Like maybe the doctor has an insight into how they would need to cut up the meat in order to put it in a pie or something. Like maybe they need butcher's knives which need regular repairing rather than just any old knife in the kitchen sort of thing, because they're dealing with human meat.
The other thing I was wondering is we could possibly maybe we do receive a message from Annie or about Annie relating to the coven.
I have a plan.
Oh yeah,
I have a plan. Can I suggest stick with Fig's Pigs for this one? So what I'm writing, what I think I'm hearing is a particular set of knives. That's a suitably vague clue, is it?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, and I'll just mark those three as used up, just so we know that they're what we're dealing with. Doctor, do you want to share your vice back do you want to offer Rose a cigarette, or have you got something else in mind with what you want to do first?
I think that I am interested. Sorry, I'm just going to refresh myself on this. Yes, I think as we seem to have a fairly fresh corpse on this one, I think I would like to go to the Whitechapel morgue and take a look at Clara.
Okay, and before we set you off to Whitechapel, then Chambers, what's your plan for the day? I have to say we've got to have a cut scene, which is poor Mrs. Thicket saying, "That girl's not turned up again, Mrs. Beale."
But going to, yeah, fine. What Clara had been up to.
So Whitechapel for you.
Yes.
And Rose, do you want to go to Whitechapel as well after you've had a moment with the doctor? Or do you have other plans? We're still waiting for Rose to corner somebody vicious and beat him up, I have to tell you.
I'm always injured. No, I think I'll go with them. And on the way, I'll say to Chambers, maybe you could. I know she's got contacts. I'll say maybe you could ask some of your friends if they've seen Annie.
Well, let me cut to the chase on that one, shall I? Because as you are in the hall, putting your outdoor clothes on, and the four-wheeler is being called round to the front, there's a banging on the front door. Chambers, what do you do?
I'm gonna open the door.
There's
give them a look and open the door.
There's a distraught, disarranged Annie Morrish, and she stumbles into your arms. She says,
I think I'll give the other two a look and we'll kind of try to corral Annie and start at least try to drag her to her room. Just kind of if she's being
she's in the hall with you, she's fallen into you. Rose, what do you do?
I'll take a big breath in. I'm going to just see if I can sniff anything. I guess it would be
okay,
sensitivity or something.
Yeah, and this is what is this the information move?
Yeah, I think so.
So
seeing if there's any odd smells about her.
Okay, because sensitivity, you're almost scenting the supernatural here. Yeah. So let's have you roll with sensitivity.
Seven.
Wow, you are dicing with death, aren't you? So honestly, they're okay. I think that Son of the Day Star. You notice that tucked into Annie's hatband is a tarot card. Would you like to put a tarot card in an unusual place as a clue for the coven? Okay. And then I'm going to ask you to pick which one in a moment. Don't let me forget to ask you that. Dr. Weiss, what do you do?
I think, Dr. Weiss will look over Annie, just check that there are no physical wounds on her in the first instance, And say, Sister Morrish, you seem quite out of sorts. Are you quite all right? And he'll produce a notepad and a pencil from within his coat and hand it to her.
Shall we try your information move to see what you can make of this or her condition?
Sure thing. That sounds good. So I think probably reason for this.
I think so.
And that's a 10.
Then on a 10, that's a very straightforward success. When she goes to pick this up, you notice that one of her hands is shrunken and shriveled. The clue is a side character has a small, useless body part, and you will have to hold the pad while she scribbles on it. Chambers, I don't think you've got any chance to get her to a room. She's kind of just falling over. So at best, you've put her onto a hall chair. At worst, she's on the marble floor. What do you do, Chambers?
Can I suggest Chambers trying not to actually bridal carry her? Or if that might be a bit too much.
I mean, you could do that if you want to. You can put her anywhere in the house you like.
Yeah, I think if she's not too insensible, put her in a hall chair.
But clearly,
like,
she can't speak.
I'm gonna make some tea.
If in doubt, make tea. Which tarot card is it? Do you want to pick one? I mean, tarot is a closed book to me, I will admit, but the options are Judgment, the Devil, the Nine of Swords, or something else.
Oh, I already picked one. It wasn't them. Okay.
Go on then. Which one?
High Priestess, which is like wisdom and spirituality, but it's inverted.
Right.
It was put in upside down.
Inverted High Priestess. As long as that is something you can work with, that's fine by me. And she's scribbling on this. They're here. Dr. Weiss, what are you trying to get from her? What can you do?
Who is here?
And Coven. And then she scribbles Fellowship of, and at that point she starts coughing blood.
We'd better take her to the infirmary, Chambers.
And spits her tongue out onto the pad.
Well, that's...
I think Chambers it will do as you say and kind of like step through and will pick up Annie. Now is the time for the bridal carry to the infirmary.
And as you're carrying out to the infirmary, you can feel something moving underneath her clothes. Rose?
Has her scent changed? Is there like a noticeable, does it just smell like Annie, or is it sort of Annie plus something else?
She has been in a number of different places, is I think all I can tell you for nothing.
Okay. Yeah, well, while I'm sort of helping her, I'll try and move a bit of clothes or whatever, see if I can get a look at whatever's moving.
I mean, her corset is bulging in places.
Oh yeah, because I'm thinking there's some rats or something. So I'll just try and move.
Well, it's going to be very difficult to do while Chambers is carrying out the infirmary. So I think I'm going to cut the infirmary where Chambers lays her down on the slabs, an unfortunate word to use, but you know what I mean. Let me start with Victor. What are you going to do, Doctor? And then I'll go to Rose to slice open with her magic knife.
Yeah, I think I think what Victor is doing whilst this happens is he's going to go and fetch out a sedative and a syringe and is preparing that.
Okay. Rose, she's beginning to choke on the blood that's filling her mouth from her severed tongue. So I'm seeing you roll her onto her side. So blood is now spilling from her mouth. What are you going to do in terms of loosening her clothes?
Just loosen the stuff around the waist and see if, like, because I think it's rats or something, just
loosen,
to let them out.
Loosen carefully, or are you just cutting open her corset?
No, I just rip them open. It doesn't matter at this point. She's lost her tongue, so yeah.
And as the corset flies away, the very walls of her abdomen are bulging, and then they erupt in a swarm of rats.
Shit.
And I think that's just right for our final break for tonight. Shall we be back at 5 past the hour? I'll see you then. So, rats explode from Annie. She dies of massive organ failure before you can get back to her, Dr. Weiss. Her bowels spill out all over the floor. Rats lick and scurry in the blood. What do you do, Dr. Weiss? Oh, you are muted.
Well, this is... I think we need to find out what caused this, sort of wave at Annie's body, and put a stop to it as soon as we can. Chambers, if you can herd the rats out, I will do what I can for the body.
Chambers, is there anything you want to do other than, sweeping and brushing these rats away?
Is there anything much left of Annie to perceive anything?
I mean, certainly, you'll be. She came back. Her handbag she dropped when she fell into your arms in the hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'll look through that as we're kind of cleaning up.
Okay, and Rose, do you stay with Dr. Weiss? Do you go with Chambers? Do you do something else?
I think when the rats were coming out, would have grabbed a scalpel and tried to stab him, and was snarling and really pissed off about it all because she's a weirdo, but she's our friend. This is no way to go.
This was our weirdo.
Yeah.
Fine. So that sounds like you're helping Chambers just get the rats out of the infirmary.
Yeah, do whatever to help tidy up and stuff.
And we've seen this infirmary always impeccably kept. Now we have a blood spray on the tiled wall, Dr. Weiss. We have, we've seen you do a very orderly kind of autopsy dissection of a human body. But this is just carnage. What do you do? Examine the body? What?
Yeah, I think he's actually going to make an effort to, put everything back more or less where it should be. As a first step, I think we do definitely see there is some what's the word I'm looking for? Some kind of human contact sort of thing there. But then we'll very much get onto the business of examining the body, trying to work out what happened, what caused this.
That sounds like the day move to me.
Yeah.
It sounds like reason.
Actually, I have the beneath the skin move, which is when I examine the corpse, I can ask the keeper 2 of the following questions.
Fine.
So, I mean, how did this person die? Seems the events leading up to it are mysterious, I suppose, but this case seems odd. But I think I'm going to go with what would an untrained eye overlook here, to get a clue.
Okay. Let us. Yes, right. Much of the abdominal contents have spilled onto the ground. And as you're putting those back and trying to tidy up the body and stitch up this torn body wall where the rats gnawed their way out, it's difficult because there isn't a neat seam, but you do your best and you end up with this ugly scar running from groin to the bottom of her rib cage. But as you're doing that, you notice something on the inside of the body wall. And anyone who wasn't paying attention in the meticulous way we know Dr. Weiss does would have missed this. There is a tattoo of an ancient map in an odd place. Yeah, so that is the clue you get.
Excellent.
There appears to be a tattoo inside the body wall.
I think Dr. Weiss will take out a notepad and duplicate the map. If this weren't someone he actually had a personal connection with, he might take the more direct route. But I think as it is, he will just copy out the map. But I am going to ask my second question, which is going to be, can I take a body part for the child without anyone noticing?
I suppose it depends which bit you want.
I think I'm going to go for Annie's heart.
Yes, it's above the diaphragm, so the rats didn't get to it. You have Annie's heart.
Yeah, and I think he'll remove it and very carefully place it in a jar of fluid, and say, "You were brave to the end, sister. We will carry on your fight, and perhaps, and I will see that a part of you lives on."
Well, I like that. I like that. At Chambers, let's cut to you going out into the hall with a mop and bucket, because, of course, there is a trail of blood from her tongue that leads from the hall to the infirmary. But there is her handbag.
Yeah, I think I'm going to clean up the blood first. It's a bit unsightly to keep that there. And then I'll sort through the handbag, see what's in there.
And of course, it's sitting in a pool of blood. So as you pick it up, you put it down somewhere, and there's just a slight kind of pool of blood begins to form around it. And then you look at the handbag, in the handbag.
Yeah.
Information move.
Yeah, information move,
yeah.
for sure. This will be with reason, I think. We've Lost connection to the server has been happening all day. That's 10.
Well, very straightforward then. I think that you will find the thing that she didn't share with any of you before she went missing. We, the audience, know that on, I think, the first night that she attended 18 St. James's Street, a carriage pulled up next to her and pushed a rather attractive envelope through the window to her. And there is an overlap here with the mastermind clue. The mastermind clue on the threats, the only one you've got so far, a sapphire blue card with gold lettering, an invitation to a party at Braithwaite Hall 3 nights hence. Of course, that was 2 nights ago. So it is tonight, just so we know. But we will call it an invitation to Braithwaite Hall is the clue you get, Chambers. Yeah?
Which threat should I put there? Should I put in the coven?
Oh, sorry, the coven. Yes. Yes. I think I can connect the two. Rose, you follow Chambers out. What do you do when you've got rid of these rats? Maybe eaten 2 or 3.
I'm gonna look out the windows because I'm thinking if I'm an evil bastard that's done this sort of thing, I want to see evidence. I want to gloat. I want to, look over my handiwork. So I'm going to look outside the front window, see if anyone's walking at the house and that.
Okay. Let's have you roll the information move then. This sounds like reason. Again, this sounds like, sensibly observing. No, you need to go onto the street and start, thumping people senseless to get answers out of them, it seems to me. You're far too sophisticated for the character.
Maybe she does. Maybe she goes out in the street and, anyone that sort of smiles or looking at the house, she's like, did you do it? Do you know what happened? She's been killed and,
Man or woman?
Man.
Old or young?
Young.
Rich or poor?
Rich, bugger.
Okay, a dandified young man is walking around. He's looking at the house as he walks along the opposite side of the street, and then this wild woman rushes down the stairs with blood on her hands. I'm guessing after what's just happened, or maybe a spray of blood across her face. And what do we see you do, Rose?
Just run up and did you do it? Do you know what happened? She's been killed, and he's grabbing him by the collar and shaking him, and talk to me, talk. You come from around here, don't you? What the hell's been going on?
Let's have you roll the information move with vitality then.
11.
You see, that's why you want vitality on the table. So
dumb.
I think that you're shaking him, and he's absolutely petrified. And his hat has fallen off. His cravat is becoming disarranged. And as the hat falls, you notice arranged exactly opposite your front door are 3 items. What are these 3 items? They are the 3 of the same thing. Do you want to tell me what they are, or do you want to ask me?
Maybe they're tarot cards as well.
Let's take that.
From the same, artist and pack that the other one was in her hair.
Yeah. The clue is objects in a place where the coven have been are arranged in 3s.
And I think it's like the 9 of swords, pentacles, and cups.
It's a connection.
Mm.
They were here, or whoever did this was here. Dr. Weiss, you've done all you can for the body. You've very neatly incised a hole in the diaphragm so you could reach up into the chest cavity and extract the heart. No one will ever know. What do you want to do next? You talked about going to examine Clara Yarborough's body.
Yeah, and I think I will go back to doing that. I'm just wondering if I want to. I think I will. On the way, I will just find Chambers, and say I have done what I can to restore Annie's body. If you could arrange for a suitable I think he'll just, wave a hand and say, I am going to proceed to the morgue while before they dispose of Clara.
Chambers, will you go with her, your old friend, Clara Yarborough?
Does anyone even know that?
Or will you occupy yourselves with making the arrangements for Sister Morrish?
I think this sounds terrible, but am I gonna lie to Dr. Weiss? Because even after this whole Annie stuff, Chambers is set on going to Whitechapel. Nothing's changed. So I think she'll just say, "Of course, sir," and we'll make some arrangements. She might. I might call it an informal for this to sort this out.
Okay, I'll come back to you in a moment. Rose, what about you? Do you stay in the house with the body, or do you go to the morgue with Dr. Weiss, or do you go to Whitechapel with Chambers, or something else?
I think I'm going to just look around the area. I'm thinking, oh, there's going to be more of these cards or more some sort of signs of whoever did this. I'm just going to do like a increasing spiral pattern of the area, looking for more clues and stuff.
Okay. Let me just make sure I've ticked that down. Arranged in threes. Yes. So let's have you deal with an informal then, Chambers. Which informal are you calling to aid you this time?
I think it's Brother Samuel, my disgraced vicar friend. Disgraced because he does this sort of thing. Like, he looks after bodies who may have, or people who may have died of less repute. And the church sometimes the church doesn't care for that sort of thing.
Yeah, he's disgraced. He's not defrocked, so he could still officiate.
Mm-hmm.
So let's have you roll with presence, is it?
Yes. Presence. Ooh, that's a 6.
Altogether, surely not.
Let's see, 4, 5 plus 1
is 6. On a miss. Where were you going to meet Brother Samuel?
I think he keeps I think his residence is nearby, or actually no, I think it might be in a nearby chapel.
Yeah, he's probably a disgraced Church of England vicar. He's running some sort of mission out of a chapel somewhere he calls a chapel. So you're headed there to see him, presumably.
Yeah. I think probably drop in on him whenever need is done.
And that's when you hear the police whistles. Things are not going to go well. You know that column that says dead, question mark? Do you want to improve the outcome before I describe the death of Brother Samuel?
Let's see.
Or can you do without a disgraced Church of England vicar?
Gosh, I'm already described him as being quite a decent chap. So I think I will. This is probably more frivolous than other matters, but I think I will.
You're going to save Brother Samuel. Okay. So which mask will you put on?
Who? The thing is, now I've established that I have an X, I kind of want to slightly redo the other two masks. I might take the Mask of the Future, the moss-covered gate, which lets me unmark the first two masks of the past.
Okay. Mark the moss-covered gate, unmark the first two boxes in the Mask of the Past. So we begin to see a subtly different. We'll get to see a different.
We'll just add some more
life path. Oh yeah, more. Yeah, more. Yeah. We want to know more about
Chambers was up to some nonsense.
But that improves it to a 7 to 9. So on a 7 to 9, they will do as you wish. Any roles associated with actions they help you with are taken advantage, but they take a while to show up. It is going to be several days before he can officiate. But he does know of a reputable undertaker where the body could be stored.
I think Chambers will connect not to that and will say, I'm not actually sure if she was religious, but she had a damned life, a damned miserable end. Best at least keep her remains comfortable, safe.
Well, Sowerby's are entirely reliable.
I think Chambers will not, and will kind of like, because she has been skimming from the budget, she will kind of like, we'll make sure like go to tip Brother Samuel and have an extra to give to Sowerby's.
Fine. So Brother Samuel can provide you with advantage if you want to mechanically milk him, so to speak. Today,
use him for info.
Go on, about what?
Yeah, I think I'll ask him about what's been going on in Whitechapel.
Oh, Sally No Face. Yes. Of course, it's all tosh, absolute bloody tosh. But it's been in the newspapers for weeks. I'm surprised you've not seen it, Mom. Let's have you roll the information move, I think. See what he can tell you.
I think the Chambers just bites a lip. It's like there's a reason why she has been paying attention, and nobody she cares about has died. Let's see, what will be? I think this will be with presence, since I'm asking, which one would this be? If I'm just asking him.
I think it's
I don't need
it's presence or reason, I would have thought.
Yeah.
I would
well,
have
either
said.
way, it's a +1.
Yeah.
So, an advantage. Whoa, there's some bad rolls here. That's a 6.
Oh my. Okay. So on what's the
Maybe Brother Samuel's cursed.
let me see. What could I throw at you with a 6? He can't tell you anything about what's significant unless you want to improve the outcome. Or the dapper lad and his gang are going to make life very difficult for Chambers.
There's a dapper lad in play. I think I'm going to improve it since I just got more boxes.
Then let's recreate, add to Chambers's past.
Yes. So narrate a flashback to your young adulthood before you were servant that shows your more significant professional triumph. So the previous time we saw this, Chambers was burning down the house. I think we'll get like another angle of that. I think we'll see like maybe we'll see more steps of how she burnt down the house. I think she had on this day when the man of the house is out. I think we see Chambers creeping up the back, and this back looks exactly the same as the flashback from the St. James mask when she saw the haunting. This is the same alleyway, except like instead of a young girl with holding, candies in a basket, she's now like a young adult skulking in a corner. And I think like she does like a bird whistle. It's like a signal, and there's a whistle through the back door, and it's opened up, and it's this other young girl who has a face this time. Who kind of like who's wearing a servant's gear, and she's kind of like she looks quite nervous, but Chambers is like calm, cool, collected, giddy even. She can't resist like giving the servant girl a peck in the cheek as she like saunters into the hall, and then I think
does she use a name?
Yeah, I think Clara says a name, but it's.
So you say, hello, Clara, and she says, hello, darling. So we know James's first name is Darling. No, that's great. I love that. And presumably this was when you were promising one another eternal support and devotion before you dumped her at some later stage in these... was she arrested for the fire? What happened?
Well,
or do you want to keep that back?
We'll find out. There's like there's a specific mask about how I was forced to serve the chief. So,
I can't resist asking these questions. I'm so fascinated with them. Right. So you've remarked that first flashback, and fine. You will not encounter the dapper lad and his gang yet. Rose, whereabouts do we see you?
So just sort of wandering the streets in a sort of widening circle around Hargrave House area, just to see if I can look for hex bags or tarot cards or anything sort of witchy to try and figure out what the hell's going on.
Are you kind of, I can't resist the sense of open your brain in terms of sensitivity, or is this a systematic search based on reason?
No, I think she's
you just
still replaying
people?
Every time she sees something move in her peripheral vision, she's replaying the rats bursting out of Annie. So she's not in a good state of mind. But sensitivity, because she's walking around and that, and she's just
Okay, let's
that's
go
a part
with
of her
that,
brain that's working.
the almost the animal bit of the brain. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, 12.
Oh, where are now 12?
Smashed
That's
it.
a different kettle of fish. So you are going to get a mastermind clue, which I will come to in a moment.
Didn't I get a clue from getting a 79?
Yes, you did. Sorry, and that was a Sally No Face clue, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, apologies for.
No, that's fine. Let me do Sally No Face first. Let me tell you that Brother Samuel flecks of blood in an otherwise pristine place. I'm not going to give you any more than that because that would narrow it down too much. Okay. Rose. Rose. What you do notice is as you spread out around the vicinity in several locations around Hargrave House, you know, two, 3 streets away. I am going to tell you, you find a slick of purplish goo.
Okay.
Well, you wanted to find something unusual. What can I tell you? Dr. Weiss, Whitechapel Mortuary, where I think we have an assistant, a mortuary assistant called Peter Jacobson. What do we see as what's your approach to the mortuary?
Yeah, I think Dr. Weiss is going to, I think, walk in, you know, as if he has every right and duty to be here.
Oh, hello, sir. How can I help you? Nobody here but me and the dead. Ah,
Peterson, lovely. Yes, I hear you have a fresh one in from the Selling No Face case.
oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I do, sir. Yes, please come this way, sir. And he's very humble in front of someone who's properly medically professionally qualified, of course, sir. And he'll take you through to, I think we're pre-mortuary drawers here. I think that we're talking about a cold room with some stone slabs. More like the place you'd keep meat in the 19th century, I think, than the kind of clinical conditions, particularly in Whitechapel. And he draws back like a magician. He draws back the sheet. There she is, sir. Fresh in last night.
Excellent. Have any of the others had a crack at her yet?
No, sir. No, they'll get to her in due time, I dare say. But you do know that you know, the yard only chooses certain people to come and do the work. And well, sir, you know, they're not as freely available as you, sir. You know, they have kind of proper jobs and the like.
I'm currently conducting some work for Inspector Pettigrew. So
oh, sorry, sir. No offense meant, sir. None at all, sir.
No, it's quite all right. But yes, I am glad I have got here before, you know, they've finished their shift at Smithfields or whatever it is they do.
Will you want my assistance, sir?
No, that's quite right. You may. I will take care of this on my own, I think.
And there's a clear look of disappointment on Peter's face as he says, "Oh, very good, sir. I'll just be outside if you need me, sir."
Oh, of course. If I may, I'm primarily intending to do a look over the externals, but if I need to crack through any rib cages or the like, I'll be sure to call you in.
And then what do you do, Dr. Weiss?
Yeah, I think you know, I'm going to start examining the body. At the moment, mostly just kind of an actual look over and that sort of thing.
And does this? This is your
yeah, this is probably back
beneath
to
the skin.
Beneath the skin again. Yeah.
What a useful move when there are bodies around.
Indeed. So yeah, I think I will go with the obvious one first, and ask, how did this person die?
I will answer with a clue. I will give you the clue: a new victim, their face removed in a grisly, imprecise fashion. And it is, you believe the throat was cut before the face was removed.
But yeah, this looks like sloppy work, put it that way. That would be fair to say.
Yeah. Okay. Is there another question you'd like to ask me?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for another clue. So I'm going to ask, what would an untrained eye overlook here?
I think an untrained eye would focus on the face and would also be so repelled by this skein of muscle with, you know, the fat and the upper layer of epidermis removed, that they would miss the fact, they wouldn't get close enough, as you, Dr. Weiss, are perfectly happy to do, to notice the smell of expensive perfume in an unusual place, i.e. on a Whitechapel washerwoman.
And yeah, and I think there will be that moment where he's kind of sniffing around the, you know, the whatever clothes she's on, and like, and it's interesting. And yeah, and then you'll do kind of another, you know, continue to look over more broadly. But yeah, I think, you know, this is he's probably, you know, happy that he's got what he can from this this particular thing. He's probably not going to go for the full. Not going to go for the full autopsy in this case, because throat slashed, that's good enough.
Now we're 20 to the hour. I'm not sure I can get round a full round of scenes between now and on the hour when we finish. But I suppose I am curious whether when we come back next week, you want to continue with the day, or whether you want to move on to dusk and the night, because the coming night is when your invitation to Braithwaite Hall comes live. So, you know, I'm curious. What are you thinking, David?
I'm content that I've got enough out of this day move, but if other people want to do something either now or next time, that's cool. But like, I'm happy with what I've done this day.
Okay. What about you, Blake? What are you thinking for Rose?
I'm happy with whatever. We have the coven on there, because I have a vague memory. Isn't there a countdown? Like, don't we have limited time with the coven?
Yes, if you want to check out the threats and go down to about row 38, you will see that 3 nights have passed since the coven arrived in town.
Shit.
Of the 6 you have available.
Oops.
There was Annie running round London while the clock ticked down. Leandro, what are you thinking? More day, or do you want to proceed to dusk and night at Braithwaite Hall?
I think I'd be down with that. I just think that, like, Chambers really wants to, like, I've now fixed her in a position where she really wants to, like, just be, she's invested just on the Sally No Face case and almost to the exclusion of everything else. So even if we go to night, she's not going to be at Braithwaite Hall.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. Which socially probably makes some sense. Thank you. I just wanted to see what I was thinking about for next time. So I am going to call it at that and do a quick round of stars and wishes, if that's okay. Let me start. Let me go right to left, just for a change. David, any stars?
Yeah, no stars around. This was a good fun episode. I really enjoyed I really like the kind of subtle but like frequent bits we just see of Rose's kind of animal nature, with the sort of scenting things and the meat, and then just all of that kind of it's really nice done. It's not like super overt, but it's always kind of present and there beneath the surface, which I think is perfect. So yeah, that's really nice. I really like seeing more of again, more of Chambers in the with kind of their own people, I suppose, with
people of their own class, I think.
Yeah, and the sort of the moments with Clara, and that really strong connection to Clara is really cool. I think I really like how that isn't how we're already seeing, as Dan just mentioned, how it's going to sort of play into how they're dealing with things. yeah, I really like the kind of the again the you know the interesting complications and failures we've had to deal with from yourself, Alan, and yeah, just some of the nice like framing of scenes and stuff. It's been really cool, and I really enjoyed this session.
Good. Leandro, what about you for stars?
I think my main star, because I do love Rose getting emotions the better of her. I love the Dr. Weiss just being a creep, just being an absolute creep, from the reading to the torso to the, oh yeah, you've got beautiful hands, I'm totally not sizing them up. Conversation in Chambers, which was a lot. I think my main star though, it goes to you, Alan, because I didn't realize until just now, but we were technically juggling 4 different threats, because we resolved one, and we were progressing through 3 others, and you had to introduce reintroduce one and introduce another. And also hats off for how you reintroduce the coven, because now we're like, well, I mean, obviously because of circumstances, but like those are some.
Well, just to be clear, I did check in with Ollie. What kind of whether he wanted Annie to disappear into London mysteriously, and he opted for a bloody end. And so my thanks to Ollie. Thank you. Name check, respect.
That's to Ollie. But yeah, I think definitely. But still, like the juggling of everything else, it's there's a lot to really like kind of keep up in the air, but you're doing a fantastic job of it.
Thank you. Sometimes it feels like, whoa, that's going to be a bit wobbly over there. Blake, any stars?
Yeah, I quite like Chambers' backstory. She's done all sorts of shit, because like in the Penny Dreadful show, the servant doesn't really get much backstory. It's just kind of implied he went on a big exploration trip with the Explorer, and that's it. But yeah, no, Chambers got a whole messed up history before her, so it's great to really bringing the character to life.
I don't know if it's about the Factotum, but in the previous series of 4 I ran, Donna's Factotum was called More. And every time we had a wish, which was, we want to see more of more, because I don't know whether it's the freedom that the prompts give the Factotum for that past history, but I think it's cracking. No, sorry, go ahead, Blake. Anything else?
That's all good. The doctor's, this is a useful bit. Oh, look, there's some more useful bits.
Yeah,
being very resourceful with all the macabre shit that's being presented.
Can I just write a star on the back of that? Yes, huge respect for Annie Morrish, but do you know, nobody would notice that heart if it was missing, would they? Huge respect.
I thought you were going to go, oh look, better hands. Get rid of those other ones.
Oh, I think would anyone notice? I think we'd be into tricky grounds. Blake, I keep interrupting. Carry on.
It's all good. It's good. It's going well. I've started myself for giving my character some competence for the first time in 4 sessions. Because I just kept rolling shit the first 3.
Yeah, I mean, up there in double figures a couple of times. Hell, fire. Oh, and I owe you a mastermind clue. I owe you a mastermind clue. Okay, let me come back round for any wishes. David, any wishes for next time?
Not particularly. I believe next week we'll be getting our new player in. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep. Good. So no, looking forward to meeting them, seeing what they come up with, who we get added to our little menagerie. I am very tempted. Oh no, that's true. Actually, this one I probably won't for this one because it's Braithwaite Hall. I am looking forward to trying out the night work thing. It's an interesting one. I probably won't for next time because I probably will go to Braithwaite Hall. But at some point in the future, I'm definitely looking forward to kind of sitting out a night's phase and seeing how that goes.
Fine. No, that's a cool one. Leandro, any wishes for next time?
Yeah, my initial thought was I was going to trigger the day work, but then because of how my mind works, like no, I gotta give a get invested in a tragic backstory with this random character who's not dead. So that's not gonna happen.
Sad woman with a tragic backstory. Where did that idea come from?
You get there in the end.
Sorry,
I-
that's a very deep in joke for our millions of viewers, but yeah.
I think I got a simple one. I want a chance to trigger my person Friday. I thought about nearly doing it in case Rose was getting jumped by her mysterious attackers and Chambers would just show up. But you know, a reason to mysteriously show up, to just randomly show up in Braithwaite Hall in case things go pear-shaped seems like a fun time.
Yeah, no, good plan. Good plan. Right, I'll make a note of that. And finally, Blake, any wishes for next time?
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, obviously, as players, we know we're supposed to eventually deal with the mastermind, but I don't know what incentive the characters have because they're kind of dealing with threats and that. So I guess for wishes, just that us going there or needing to go there is kind of weaved into the story a bit more. Because at the minute, I'm like, why would we go to this ball again? I may have just missed something as a player, but
no, I mean, I get that. The mastermind seems to sit quite parallel to these mysteries, in a way that's different from Brindlewood Bay, I think, and really it's a question of how many times you want to use a mask to get to 12 plus to get a mastermind clue. So I think it's down to you lot about whether that's something you want to pursue or whether it'll just tick along over here as a kind of slightly sinister backstory. So, you know, don't sweat it.
That just gave me an idea.
Oh,
so,
do tell.
Well, you know how in that first flashback there was a shadowy figure who was like, was patting Chambers, being all, well, we'll see. We'll see. We'll play to find out.
Indeed. No, that's fine. So yeah, no, I had a great time tonight, and you know, we lost one last time. We seem to get a bit of momentum going this time. We'll try and keep it going next time, and I will have a word with our fourth player between now and then to try and sort out character creation before we meet. Okay, I will then stop the recording.